Welcome to the chapel here in the park at Highclere. It's not on the normal visitor route, but I thought it is something I would love to share with you, particularly because we are undertaking a major restoration project. And the man of the moment, and actually for the next year or two, is George Faulkner, who is a plasterer extraordinaire. We were just discussing how to encapsulate his trade in a few adjectives, which we can't really. It's about heritage, craftsmanship, thinking of the building and how it's going to breathe and survive for the next 100 years. This chapel was built in 1855 by Geordie's great, maybe another one, grandmother, Henrietta, the third Countess of Carnarvon, following the death of her beloved husband. And it was done with Thomas Allom, an architect who was also working on the entrance hall of the castle at the time. It is beautiful, so peaceful, and it sits next door to the graveyard. So it's a place for people to come in and find some time alone or time with their family when they're at some of their saddest times and they've just lost those who love. So it's built to comfort those who sorrow, which is what Henrietta wrote around the window at the end. You can't see the window, it's covered in scaffolding, because as is all the pews here, which are beautiful, because George has said he can't patch the plaster, he has to take it all off. so George, over to you. This has been a far bigger project than George and I first envisaged, hasn't it?
Yeah, well, because of the impervious paint and quite a lot of water ingress with the roof and some pointing, it just caused the plaster behind to fail. So these panels forwards were actually lime plaster, but with just the wrong paint, and it caused them to fail. But the back wall there was, I'm not sure if it was original, because it was around the time when they were experimenting with sand and cement anyway, but it was sand and cement, then slate, then sand and cement, and then plastered, and you could see the water gathering behind it. So now we've taken off that impervious layer, we have to leave it for a long time to dry, because now the salts are a problem. They are now mobile in the water, so the drier we make it, the less chance there is of that coming back once we put the lime plaster on.
I think you started nearly a year ago, 9 months.
So, yeah. I think it's been sat drying for a good...
So we have a measure of heating here, which I put in. There's one bar there. Are they both working, by the way?
I've got another one there, yeah.
Okay, great. And then there's a dehumidifier.
I think we could do with probably a bigger one.
A bigger dehumidifier.
Yeah.
And we are just waiting. So we have a service in here once a year. We should have had one last September, which we didn't, because this is what it looks like. And actually, I'm not sure we're going to be back this September either, because I think we need the whole of the summer for these walls yet again to dry out, don't we?
Yeah, well, if it's an original system, then they've essentially been filling up the water for 200 years.
What, the brick walls at the back? Whereas these ones have just been filling up probably for 50 years.
Yeah, since they were like decorated with a plastic paint. Like I say, once you do that, it keeps all the moisture behind, and then it eventually causes the lime plaster to fail.
So the lime plaster lets the walls breathe and the moisture comes in. It's a different building technique to what we use today, when we tend to kind of create boxes with no movement of air at all, which I'm not convinced about. But in the olden days, that wasn't even part of what they could achieve, so they never tried to achieve it, and instead of which they achieved these amazing breathable walls. And on top of which, rather than using a normal plastic paint, which is what most are, it's better presumably just to wash it.
Yeah, lime wash. Yeah, like it's usually used externally, but a hot lime wash with like quick lime and water, and it's very capillary active. Very inexpensive. Yeah, you could do this whole block for one bag of quick lime, easy. And it's all about it being capillary active, so moisture can pass through both ways.
Fascinating. And is this wall all right then, this one here, which you haven't touched? What is the...
well, it doesn't seem... I think as long as the paint comes off, then that should be fine with just the lime wash. But all of this was visibly blown, and when you knocked it, it had come away from the water, delaminated. Whereas this one doesn't show much signs of delamination.
And of course, when you started, you thought there's just a few blown rafters as well, pointing. And then Steve, the roofer, came in, and we found that we've had to do an awful lot of the roof. So it's one of those typical projects at Highclere where you start with a budget which is this big, and by the end the budget is that big. But do you know what? This is something George and I wanted to do, and it's what we're personally doing. It's really fallen into in between the church and us, and like many other church buildings, it has no money. But I think it matters. We all wonder what's going to happen to us at the end of our lives. And places to sit and to ponder and to be with the memories of those we loved, I think, are really important. And they help us continue our own journey in this world until we, again, journey through that veil of between life and death to figure out what's there.
The fact that this much time was spent on a building for that purpose is, I think,
stunning.
something in itself. Yeah, like
I think it's stunning.
You can't obviously see the church pews now, but the reason I've gone to this much effort to cover them up is because they are so impressive.
It's the most beautiful wood carving, isn't it?
It is, yeah, everything, yeah, all of the stonework, yeah, it's very, very impressive building, and it deserves to be shown off.
So this is a very small chapel. If you think on a larger scale, Winchester Cathedral, which I find utterly stunning, and the stonemasons who are working on Winchester Cathedral were also working on a palace at Highclere at the time. And yet again, the palace here was somewhere where the Bishop of Winchester lived in the 14th century and before. And again, Winchester Cathedral was somewhere we simply gathered to worship and to wonder. So again, I find the cathedrals in this country and in Europe something completely extraordinary for that, and speak to exactly what you've said.
Yeah.
But this is on a small scale, but a very personal memory and legacy for Henrietta, the third Countess of Carnarvon. Thank you for all you're doing. I'm going to see you here, I think, for years to come.